Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome back to the Hot Rod Workshop. Today, we're going to be discussing some shop space improvements. This series of videos is going to be about how to utilize the space that you have, get the most bang out of your buck when it comes to wall space, when it comes to how much of a footprint a tool takes on your shop floor, and how to utilize the space that you have per the tooling that you have to try and form a more dynamic environment as opposed to just bolting a vise in one spot and it being there forever. Now today, we're going to tackle the Workbench Quick-change. So on the left-hand side of the fab table here, we have a 2-inch receiver welded to a 2x2 piece of box tubing that's welded to the bottom of the tabletop. And the idea here is to utilize 2x2 box tubing and a plate. Size that plate to whatever tool you need, bolt it to that, slide it through the receiver, run a pin through, and use 1/4-inch round stock as stops, so any downward force is exerted onto the stops, not the pin. This way I can run a vise, I can run a throatless shear, I can run a bender, anything in this corner, and if I want the tool anywhere else in the shop, I just have to run a receiver to that area, and all of those tools come with it. Alright, so we bent up a piece of aluminum as a stop for the bottom of the receiver. So the plan is to grab our 7-inch piece of 2x2, throw it in the receiver till it drops, and tack on our 1/4-inch rod stops on 2 opposing sides. Alright, so I got my stops tacked in place. Just going to add a little bit more weld for strength, and we should be ready to weld on the tops. Alright, the next step is to find your center of the plate that you're mounting the tool to. Be mindful of the hardware that you're using. Make sure that the square tubing is not going to be in its way. And find your placement. Set your 2x2 box tubing in place, tack the corners in, check for square, and run as many beads as you like. I'm going to run 2 full beads front and back. Alright, so after finish welding all of the stalks onto the bases, we are now set up with our vise with a 2x2 piece of box tubing attached to it, and it fits well in the receiver. There is a little bit of slop in these receivers with a 2x2 box. There are ways to alleviate that with running 2 screws into the receiver. I'm not too concerned about that right now. If it becomes a problem in the future, I can always change it. But I can change out to whatever tool I need. Here we have a small bender. And here's another with throatless shear. Now, there is a hole set for a pin, not 100% necessary with what we're doing. I am going to run a pin through here for when I find a tool that I do require it. But for now, this works just fine. A little bit of play doesn't really concern me much. All right, so for now, I have the 3 tools set up for the receiver. And the next step would be to make a stand for these for when they're not in use. And I plan on doing that on the bottom of the workbench here for when I make my plate that goes across. But that'll be saved for another video. So this will work for now. And it's a good, this is a good way of utilizing space when you don't have a lot to spare. If I buy another tool in the future and it needs to be mounted, I could have a 2x2 piece of box tubing waiting for it. And you just cut a plate out of 1/4 inch, 3/16, whatever you need, weld it to the 2x2 box, make your stops, and throw her in the receiver. And you can also throw the receiver wherever you want it. It doesn't necessarily have to be in one spot. You can throw it in a totally different spot on the other side of the shop. I was planning on running another one over there. So, yeah, I think this is gonna work well. We'll see, we'll try it out. Thanks for watching.
Whoa.
Rude.